You're watching KREM 2 News at 5 with Whitney Ward, Mark Henrahan, and Jeremy Legoo.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5. I'm Mark Henrahan.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Whitney Ward. We do start with breaking news here in two major trials across the U.S. tonight.
Eastern Idaho man Chad Daybell has been found guilty of murdering his first wife, Tammy Daybell, and the two children of his current wife, J.J. Vallow and Tylee Ryan.
But first, we want to turn to an unprecedented case out of New York City. Just a few hours ago, former President Donald Trump found guilty of all 34 counts in his criminal trial.
This makes Donald Trump the first former president in U.S. history to be convicted of felony crimes.
In a historic move, a jury of 12 New Yorkers found that Trump had violated the law by falsifying business records to cover up a $130,000 payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels before the 2016 election.
The verdict was handed down in a Manhattan courtroom where Trump has been on trial for the past 6 weeks.
CBS News correspondent Michael George has more now outside of the courthouse.
Former President Donald Trump proclaimed his innocence after a New York jury found him guilty on all charges.
This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people.
Trump was charged with falsifying business records in connection with money his former fixer Michael Cohen paid to adult film star Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 election. Prosecutors argued that Trump reimbursed Cohen, but disguised the payments as legal expenses, amounting to a criminal scheme to corrupt the election.
While this defendant may be unlike any other in American history, we arrived at this trial and ultimately today at this verdict in the same manner as every other case that comes through the courtroom doors.
The jury was comprised of 7 men and 5 women and included 2 lawyers as well as a teacher and a speech therapist. The presumptive GOP presidential nominee maintains the trial was politically motivated, and tonight we're hearing from some of his supporters.
I don't think it changes my support for the Republican Party. There's a large segment of this country that believes in him.
Each of the 34 charges against Trump is punishable by up to 4 years in prison.
It's a possibility, but I do not think it's a probability. Let's look at what's going on. First-time offender, non-violent felonies.
The judge could also give him probation or fines instead. Sentencing is set for July 11th. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
And if Donald Trump does win the 2024 election, he cannot pardon himself as this is not a federal case.
So each of the 34 felony counts carries up to a $5,000 fine and a 4-year prison sentence. But whether Trump would actually go to prison is a completely different question. And again, that is up to the judge.
Legal experts point out that judges often take a defendant's conduct during the trial into account, so Trump's repeated violation of the gag order in this case may be a significant factor in the sentencing. That sentencing hearing, by the way, is set for July 11th.
And that, by the way, is just 4 days before the start of the Republican National Convention. Now, finally, does being a convicted felon bar Trump from running or becoming president?
The answer is no. There is nothing in the Constitution that keeps Trump from doing so.
And as you would expect, reactions to today's landmark decision are strong on both sides.
We are also hearing from local leaders tonight, and for that we are turning to KREM 2's Nathan Hyun, who is in the studio, and he has been monitoring those reactions. He joins us now with that part of the story. Nathan?
Well, Mark and Whitney, reactions are pouring in from both Republican and Democratic leaders in the area to Trump's guilty verdict. I had a chance to pull some of them. Take a look. Tiffany Smiley, who's running for the U.S. House of Representatives, wrote in a statement, quote, "This weaponization of our judicial system sets a terrible precedent, and the American people have been clear that this trial is not going to change their support for Trump. Going forward, I'll continue to support Donald Trump's campaign and look forward to voting for him in November." And we have heard from the governor of Idaho, Brad Little, who said, quote, "The American people will deliver the only verdict that matters in November. Hashtag Trump 2024. We are also hearing from the chair from the Washington State Democratic Party, Shasti Conrad. In a statement to KREM 2, Conrad wrote, "Convicted felon Donald Trump is a wholly unfit to lead our nation. His conviction today by a jury of his peers demonstrates the lengths convicted felon Trump will go to and to the law he will break to get what he wants. Another 4 years of power at the expense of hardworking Americans." Washington GOP Chair Jim Walsh wrote in a statement to KREM 2, "The trial has been a circus from the start. The charges are dubious. The prosecutors have made their political biases evident for all to see, and the judge has undermined his own credibility in a flamboyant, cartoonish manner." Now, United States Senator Patty Murray was in Spokane today. Murray serves as the president pro tempore of the U.S. Senate and has been a U.S. Senator since 1993. Murray says she hopes the GOP party does the right thing moving forward.
I hope Republicans stand up and say this is, what we need to do moving forward is to make sure that that we have a president that is not going to take us into chaos, that is going to protect our right to have our own healthcare system, that's going to defend our democracy, and who's not a convicted criminal.
We will continue to track reactions from leaders in the Inland Northwest and state of Washington and Idaho and bring those to you tonight at 6. In the studio, Nathan Hyun, KREM 2 News.
In regards to count 2 of the amended indictment, is Chad Daybell not guilty or guilty of first-degree murder of Tylee Ryan? Guilty. Is Chad Daybell not guilty or guilty of first-degree murder of Joshua Jackson Vallow? Guilty. Question number 6. In regards to count 6 of the amended indictment, is Chad Daybell not guilty or guilty of first-degree murder of Tammy Daybell?
In other breaking news, another verdict returning just a few hours ago. Chad Daybell has been found guilty of all counts against him, including the murders of his first wife, Tammy Daybell, and his stepchildren, J.J. Vallow and Tylee Ryan.
The jury received the case late yesterday afternoon and returned the verdict at around noon today. It was a case that Idaho prosecutors said was fueled by power, sex, money, and apocalyptic views.
So jurors heard from more than 75 witnesses. Tylee and JJ were killed in September of 2019. Tammy Daybell was found dead in her home a month later.
With this guilty verdict, Daybell faces the death penalty. JJ Vallow's grandfather spoke outside the courthouse just moments after the verdict was read.
What did they accomplish? Nothing. What did they do? They destroyed family.
Chad's current wife, Lori Vallow Daybell, was sentenced to life in prison last summer for killing JJ and Tylee and conspiring to kill Tammy Daybell.
Vallow will go in on trial once again in August, this time in Arizona, facing 2 counts of conspiracy to commit murder.
In other news, the Moses Lake School District announcing another round of layoffs today. They're planning to reduce staff by another 85 positions across various departments.
KREM 2's Amanda Rowley drove to Moses Lake to learn more.
Yeah, Mark and Whitney, I'm outside the Moses Lake School District office where it just announced its second wave of workforce reductions. It impacts 85 classified staff, with 34 of those positions being reduced through attrition.
The Moses Lake School District is scrambling to find areas where spending can be cut after a massive accounting error. The district thought it had $11 million more than it did. Now it's facing a $20 million budget shortfall. So far, spending cuts have come at the cost of district jobs. The school district issued non-renewal notices to 100 teachers earlier this month. Now it plans to reduce its workforce by another 85 positions, impacting classified staff. Now, classified staff are district employees who are in positions that don't require a certification. This can include paraprofessionals, office staff, as well as custodians and transportation services. In a statement, the district says it recognizes the impact these reductions will have on the lives of staff, its schools, and students. It says these steps are essential to ensure its financial stability. In total, the district will have reduced its workforce by 215 positions. However, 100 of them are non-renewal notices that may be canceled if other budget cuts allow for teachers to be retained.
Now, just in the last hour, the district told me it does expect more reductions pending labor negotiations and through restructuring of non-union positions. Now, it says depending on contracts, these cuts will go into effect at the end of this school year or the end of this coming summer. Now, I did reach out to the Moses Lake Education Association, which is the local teachers union, for their reaction to these additional layoffs. We'll share that statement once we receive it. Reporting in Moses Lake, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
All right, Amanda, thank you very much. Let's take a quick break from the headlines to take our first look at the forecast with Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo.
Jeremy, it's been pretty cool here for the last several nights. Do you think we have another cool morning tomorrow?
Yeah, but it's the last one. How about that? A big corner is going to be turned, and then we step back. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and then a giant leap forward. Hear me out on this. 65 degrees right now as we currently sit. All in all, not that bad. But as Whitney mentioned, it's been cold. It's going to be cold. Tomorrow morning, our lows are going to dip down near freezing. We have frost warnings and freeze advisories in place again. Basically, where you were this morning, 2 to maybe 3 degrees warmer tomorrow morning. That's the way the overall weather pattern goes. Widespread, though, our temperatures are going to be near 40, upper 30s. Deer Park, you're in the mid 30s. Those valleys going to be a little bit colder, but like I said, step forward. 71 tomorrow, 73 by Saturday. Sunday, we soar, but then come back down quite quickly as our next round of rain moves in. You want the silver lining? Here it is. By June, most of the West Coast gets warm, and for us, that likely means highs back in the 80s.
Ooh, looking forward to that. Jeremy, thank you very much. And still ahead on KREM 2 News tonight. We are getting our first look at Spokane's expanded airport. The next time you fly, you'll see some new additions. We'll show you just ahead.
Plus, Washingtonians have just one more week to file a claim with the state attorney general's office. How you could be entitled to a check coming up at 5:15.